Friends with differences.
Friends with differences.
Friends with differences.
Friends with differences.
Frank Dzuba, thanks for coming on.
Happy to be here, sir.
Or should I say Dzuba?
Dzuba, yes. It's a fun last name to say.
Yeah.
Dzuba. You can have a lot of fun with that. Just accentuate it however you want. Oh my God, Donald Trump would have a field day with me. This Dzuba kid. Dzuba, I don't know who he is. Dzuba. It's a weird last name. Clearly not American.
Clearly. Thank you for coming on. For the people, what did we talk about over the last hour or so?
Oh God, we talked a lot about where we were from and growing up, and we just sort of did a dissection on where accents come from and how wonderfully diverse they are and all that. Oh, we didn't get to the joke that we were talking about writing a perfect joke and how sometimes you write that simple little joke, right? I said it's got that word in it I can't say, but right. So thank you, J.A.K, for writing Lord of the Rings, because this joke still works. We're going to set this joke in the medieval fantasy. What do you call a dwarf with a hangover?
Oh, I don't know.
Still a little drunk.
Yeah, for sure.
Or just a little drunk in any capacity. Yeah. I wrote that when I was in high school, and it's still to this day. It's dumb, stupid, but it is one of my favorite jokes that I've ever written. I feel like it's one of the greatest puns I've ever come up with.
Nice.
Single-handedly. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about your show.
Yeah.
And our comedy careers.
Absolutely, and where things are going. We got into a deep talk. We got into a little bit of. We touched on it. We didn't get into politics. We did for a minute there, for a second.
Just a split second.
Yeah, exactly. For a brief second, it was like Republican, Democrat, Communist. Whoa, back to Democrat, Republican.
Yeah, we tend to not shy away from it around here.
Well,
thank you.
That's the Red Note influence. It's like, where did this communism come from? Oh, wow, there were a bunch of people on Red Note for a little bit too long. Like,
yeah, I mean, it has quite a history with the podcast. We've had many discussions.
Indeed.
As the people know.
Always
well, thanks again for coming on.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
I really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Peace.
Friends with differences.
Friends with differences. Friends with differences.
All right. Welcome back to the Friends with Differences podcast. Very excited for this episode. Zach, thanks for coming on.
Happy to be here, sir.
Will you help me out with your... I mean, if you don't want to pronounce your last name, that's cool too.
No,
but
no, it's Dzuba.
Dzuba.
Right? That's the American way to say it. Dzuba. Now, when I go outside the country,
yeah,
a handful of times I have to chant, right? It's apparently pronounced jus. Like, you know where au jus?
yeah.
Oh, okay, let me get that au jus sauce on the thing. That jus sound is apparently what the DC make, but that's nowhere in the English-American language, so that we don't use that letter combination.
It sounds French.
Exactly. I go to Mexico, and they're like, Mr. Juba? And I'm like, wait, what did you say?
Juba.
Oh, here's the kicker.
Wow.
Here's the
The
kicker.
ZU makes the jus?
Yes, here's the kicker. Oh my gosh, I wonder if I can do this. I don't have Alexa set up on this. How do you fix it?
You can scream at Alexa's
Okay.
right there.
Okay.
Or no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Alexa.
Okay, watch this.
She's
ready?
here.
Ready? Alexa, play songs by Zach Dzuba.
I couldn't find the songs you requested.
Wait.
Here is a station based on Zach Bryan
Alexa,
on Amazon
stop.
Music.
Alexa, stop. Here we go. Ready? Alexa, play songs by Zach Dzuba.
I can't find songs by Zach Zuma on
Hold
Spotify.
She said Zach Zuma. Hold on. Play songs by Zach Dzuba. Comfortable. Alexa, play Comfortable by Zach Dzuba.
I can't find the song Comfortable on Spotify.
What? I have a video online. If you go to my TikTok profile, there's a video
I could bring it up here.
Well, I was gonna say there's a TikTok video on my profile. There's a TikTok video of me doing this when I first put my album out.
Yeah.
And she will pronounce my name, Zach Dzuba, but she doesn't recognize my name when I say it that way.
Yeah, you gotta include that extra.
It's so like let's try to
Dzuba.
Alexa, play music by the artist Zach Dzuba.
Shuffling Zach Bryan and similar artists
Damn
on
you.
Amazon Music.
You bitch, stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. You're being a bitch right now.
Oh, you know what? I had a credit card switch and my Spotify Premium lapsed. It might just be Alexa just being tough.
Yeah. It's on my ticket. It's on my TikTok.
You want me to find?
No, you don't have to find it.
I think I found your page. I just don't know if I found the exact one.
Oh yeah, you probably. I'm on TikTok, of course. I'm terrible at social media, man. I'm an old school, elder millennial, gap generation millennial. Like I had Facebook and MySpace. Like when I got
Part
Facebook,
of me was excited that TikTok was going down.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to alternate. I was waiting for TalkTick to hit the App Store. I was about to be the first one on. I don't trust Red Note and Blue Sky. There's something about those names. Like, it should be called Fourth Wall. Patent pending. There's a developer out there that's working on an app thing. It's called, you talk to me, I'll sell you the name Fourth Wall. Because that's what it should be. We're breaking the fourth wall in your life. We're breaking the fourth wall in that
all
situation.
All social medias.
Yeah. It's just like I'm working, I am, whoever out there is working on a communal space, call me because I want to sell you the name Third Space. Because that's, we got money we can make here. I'm a funny man, but I'm also a thinker.
Wall, like when I think of the fourth wall, I think of like movies and they like look at the camera.
Exactly.
So we're all like Truman showing is essentially.
Exactly. Yes, Deadpool, and isn't that what TikTok is?
Yeah. We're all like making little shows out of our lives.
Yep. The most popular videos on TikTok are always like the worst moments in people's lives caught on camera.
Yeah.
And then it's rehashed with some guy like doing the narration or like somebody putting the video, like an audio clip on it.
Yeah.
Like, not that I love that stuff.
You know, and like, to like weirdly related to comedy, like, we met through open mics, and the weirdest part about comedy, I love comedy, but it feels like the parts of my set people enjoy the most are like the subtle failures that like you have to just get through, and they're like, that was the best part when you like said you had to workshop that. It was like, damn it, thank you. Yep. What about the polished ones? Did you like those? Right.
You always say you've got a joke that's so well crafted. Like I have, I had to adapt this one. Okay, I had to adapt this one right now. I'm trying to, internet, if you're listening, help me. To all the little people out there, I have much love and respect for all of you. So I respect we're not using the word midget. So I propose that any child that is not a toddler, but not yet like a somewhat right? You know, that gauge grab of like not a toddler, but they haven't learned empathy yet.
Yeah,
let's call them midgets because they're not quite little people yet. Yeah, they're still developing their social skills. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? Like I love that's baby. It's a wonderful term. So I call young children midgets because that way there I'm not being offensive. Because anyone who calls me out, they're like, "Oh, we don't use that term." I'm like, "Well, I'm rebranding it because that's a really good term, and why can't I use it?" Like it's better than calling them younglings and stuff. I'm gonna get canceled for this. I know. No, you're not getting canceled. That doesn't happen on this podcast, right? The point is, I'm sensitive, and I had a joke that had that word in it, and I changed it. Now, thanks to fantasy, joke still works.
Like I've like wrote a joke. I've never actually said it on an open mic or anything about like how I think the term midget was replaced by dwarf, right? Or pretty much.
Well, there was always a classification. The midgets and dwarves were always different. Yes, it was a different classification medically, as it was always explained to me, and it's always. And now we have they obviously don't like being called dwarves or midgets.
They don't like dwarves.
It depends.
I thought it was dwarfism.
I think exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a dwarf. It's a very interesting, and it's one of those things where, you know what? This This is a great segue, and we should just go ahead and think, because this is something that I used to work in travel. It's always driven me nuts. Okay, Americans love to not pronounce or respect the way something is called.
Yeah, we just adapted how it should be said. You
like
know?
they'd call me and they'd be like, "I'm trying to get to Baja, Mexico," and I'm like, "You mean Baja, Mexico? Like Cabo San Lucas, like north of Cabo?" And they're like, "No, Baja or Tihuatanejo or Ixtapa," and I'm like, "You mean Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo?" Like. Ask somebody who lives there to say
that does drive me nuts. I remember being a kid and being like, no, that country doesn't even, it's their name and we're pronouncing it how we want to.
Exactly.
It's their name.
Or someone's name is like Jorge and we call them George. Right? And it's so unique. I realize it's not just uniquely American. There's one other culture that does it and perhaps a little bit worse, and we hate them when they do it. And that is the French. The French just add extra sounds into language that doesn't, like if they're speaking English, they're like, let me get the hamburger. And you're like, dude, hamburger. Yeah. What is this hamburger? That you're doing at the back end of it. Just say hamburger, right? We get so offended at that. If I were to call you the wrong name or like be like, what is this place you guys live? Indiana?
Yeah.
You'd be like, no, it's Indiana. Can you not just say it the way we say it? Oh, it's always driving me nuts.
Like, I remember being in New York. I used to work in New York. Like, I worked right off of Houston.
Okay.
Which is spelled like Houston.
Yes.
And everybody that's not from New York pronounces it Houston. And then
it's like Houston. You gotta, yes.
The most common correction, I feel like, for...
Yeah, I grew up, for part of my childhood, we lived in Nashua, New Hampshire. When you say that, it's like saying Fishers, Indiana. So what you really say is Boston, because that's the suburbs that you're more or less a part of, right? And so in Boston, you have Worcester, and everyone, Worcester. Everyone's like, where's Worcester? And you're like, son, it's Worcester. Just say Worcester.
Worcester has so many letters in it, though. It's a lot.
Well, that's the fatal flaw, is that we look at it and we're always like, I'm so smart that I can read this. And I love it when people are like, I just don't know how to say it. I'm like, you don't know how to say it. Just be a parrot. Be a parrot and report it back. Well, I don't want to be offensive. They're not going to be offended if you say their name right. Like, it's the one time where donning an accent or an inflection is appropriate. Someone's like, my name is Jamal. You're like, okay, I'm not going to call you Jamal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, let me try to replicate this.
Jamal. Yeah, that's. However, I am literally a hypocrite saying that because we opened this with how do you say your last name, and I was like, it's supposed to be pronounced Dzuba in the rest of the world, and in America we say Dzuba, and I don't correct you or change you or just that's how I've been saying it my whole life. Shows you how much record my father's family kept of the. Like where they were and what they were doing. Everybody's mother always has a great lineage of like where their family came from. Dads never have any goddamn clue.
Dude, so for real. Yeah. Like my mom was like able to pretty much track down where our great grandparents were in Ireland, and like Hammond's my dad's last name. I couldn't tell you anything. Man, I don't know if I should be saying my parents' surname.
I just doxed you, Mom and Dad. Look out.
Shit.
That's okay. My dad's dead, so, I mean, that's...
Condolences.
We can dox him all we want. You're not going to dig up anything new on him.
Oh, yeah. Damn, that sucks. Sorry to hear about that.
Oh, no.
I used to rip on Indiana. I used to, like... I wrote a joke. I never did it on stage. It seems like a common theme. But, like, how Indiana... The only things they do are like get food and go to funerals. Just feels like the two most common activities.
Right? I had a friend in high school once went on vacation, or with a spring break, right? They go down to Florida. As is tradition in Indiana. Everybody this
procession.
Super weird.
Spring break
Exactly.
procession.
Exactly. I think some of the towns in Florida are only populated and funded by their parent town in a Midwestern city, and these people just vacation here every
for
year.
sure. It's like brother-sister towns.
Exactly.
Except they never come here.
Exactly. They're like, I have the same neighbors everywhere I go, year-round. Like, that's not how it should be. Okay, weird, cliquish.
Kind of nomadic.
Kind of weird and cliquish, too. Yeah. Very weird and cliquish. But he was down in Florida, and he told somebody, I am from Indiana, and I remember he came back and he told us what the man said. He looked him dead in the eyes and said, Indiana, Lord have mercy, I've never seen so much corn. And that was the end of the conversation, and I was like, wow.
Check.
Right? I moved here from, like, the East Coast where there's mountains.
Yeah.
Or oceans, right? And proper mountains. And then I lived out in Albuquerque, New Mexico for a good half of my childhood, like out in the desert, and the mountains are off in the distance. So, and then we landed in Indiana in 97, and it's my adopted home. I have my reasons for being here, but
yeah.
I remember being like, there's no mountains, there's no ocean,
It's just a level.
Exactly. It's just Indianapolis, a couple of college towns, and farm. So
yeah. I like to think there's a lot to explore, and there's a lot of cool nooks.
Oh yeah,
but man, it's not like
Well, where are you from originally? You from Indiana?
I'm from Indiana.
Okay, and
I went to my history. Grew up Indiana, went to college in Cincinnati, and then moved to New York, and then moved back.
Classic Indiana tradition. Yes.
Yeah, quit the job, moved back, tried to go solo.
Right. And first off, anyone who lives in New York City or LA and is actually like a born and raised local, you are truly a minority in your community, because I've met plenty of people from both places and they're like, I'm from New York City, I'm from LA, and I'm like, where were you raised? And they're like, Minnesota.
Yeah.
St. Paul.
After about 2 months of living in New York, you just claim it. You just
You earn your badge as an official New Yorker. I've been here long enough. Yeah.
Yeah, once you've like encountered somebody like who's trying to kill you on the subway,
yeah,
you just get the badge.
Well, and see, this is what I love about Indianapolis, right? For all your I keep addressing, I knew your camera's right there, so I'm gonna address your camera people when you're all for you guys watching at home. Never look at the camera. Bah. No, the point I want to. So everybody from Indiana and from the Midwest eventually leaves, right? And they then call me from these beautiful locations like Hawaii and New York City and
Colorado.
LA and Colorado and Florida, and then they say, hey man, it's really expensive to come stay out here, so why don't you come fuck up my house and couch for a week and come visit? You know what they never do? They never call me in Indiana and say, hey, I'm going to be in town for a week. Can I give your house and couch? And if they do, I put them in the Ramada because it's super affordable. Like, Indianapolis is my bat cave.
Yeah, it seems like most of our visitors are just for like events. We're good at hosting events.
Oh, we're great at events.
Maybe that's just because it's just all flat and level.
Yeah, we need better public transportation. But if we did that, we'd have like boroughs like in it'd be so beautiful. But no, I used to tell people it's like my bat cave, right? Like Superman doesn't understand what the word solitude means, obviously, because that motherfucker has a sleepover every weekend at the Fortress of Solitude. Like, he shows Lois where the key is and shit. Like, yeah, granted, they can't lift it up because it's literally a Starman, but he has no problem, like, showing you how to unlock the door. And, like, he's like, I'm going to give you all the numbers to the passcode, but just not the right order. Solitude, people. Like, and I don't think... Maybe it's
too much solitude.
Yeah, maybe it's the alien in him. This is the one concept that just disconnects with. But Batman, on the other hand, I am positive that somewhere in Gotham on a random Thursday, you will find Alfred at the bar. And you'll be like, dude, aren't you supposed to be at the... And he'll explain to you that there are a good number of days that even he's not allowed in the cave. Like, nobody's allowed in the cave for good chunks. Alfred probably has a hard time cleaning it because Batman's like, I don't want anybody in the cave, Alfred. Right? Batman knows how to keep his home. Batman doesn't have sleepovers at his house ever. Like, even when he gets married and has a kid, I'm pretty sure he had Catwoman in a penthouse by herself. He's just like, I don't mix home and business. Nobody ever comes and buy. Indianapolis is perfect. The cost of living is beautiful. It takes like 45 minutes to get anywhere as long as you have a car. Yeah. It's a city that doesn't want to admit that it's a city. So it's got like all the little perks of being a small town, but all the perks of being a city, right?
Yeah, it's like the most leisure driving in the world. I was talking about it today. We're the crossroads of America, and like out of anywhere, people drive the most nice here, and it drives me nuts. Like nowhere else in the world will there be like a lane merger and then like a line for a mile of people already in the right lane, just waiting, and nobody on the open right lane.
That does drive.
It does not have anywhere.
Okay, it's the open their system. Okay, it's that I'm sorry, not sorry. Yeah,
it's too nice.
Oh man,
like in Cincinnati, people would be blown by you. In New York, people would be like, "What do you know?" Like people would be mad at
exactly. Like I don't use my East Coast turn signals anymore. Like I put these away because they get you in trouble in Indianapolis and in the Midwest. Like you flip the bird at someone nowadays, and they'll park their car and get out and be like, "Oh, what'd you do?" And I'm like, "Whoa." Dude, on the East Coast, if you cut somebody off because you're in the wrong lane, you didn't realize it, now you have to like cut me off or like cut in to merge because you weren't paying attention and yada yada. What happens is horn honk, flip the bird, hey, fuck you, and then you go, fuck your mother, and then that's the end of it, and we both leave, and you feel a little bit of shame for what you did because it wasn't technically illegal, but it was an asshole move to do.
You know what you did.
Deserve to get a little public shame.
It was well deserved. Yeah, I remember being in New York and working right off Houston Street, and there was honks constantly every day from about 4 o'clock to 7, like just continuous honks.
Yes,
people constantly pissed at each other, and you know what? They get through. They manage. It works.
It's part of the process.
Yeah, the tension makes it all happen.
Yeah, that's why I've been doing Uber to help pay for gigs because acting in music and producing a show pays so much. But as an Uber driver, I've reported to Uber I don't like the fact that you give me a customer service rating. Rate me on speed.
Yeah.
Rate me on efficiency. Rate me on safety. Absolutely. Customer service. I am 38 years old, homie. I have never once heard in my life the sentence, "Wow, that cab driver was nice," unless it was honest shock and awe. Like cab drivers typically had an earbud or a old first original Bluetooth in their ear, and I'm not what I'm about to. This is no disrespect. I have mad love for your skills. I learned to drive in every city back in the day by following cab drivers, because they know what rules you can and can't break. So you learn to drive Toronto, mastered it. Chicago, mastered. Indianapolis, follow the taxi. Well, you can't do that anymore. But every taxi driver I ever got in the car is just like, how's going to get get it? Where do you need to go, my friend? Where do you need to go? Come on. Time is money. How do I get it? Like, their customer service was shit.
For sure.
They are not customer service jobs. They're utilitarian jobs.
Yeah.
You don't expect a bus driver to be nasty or to be nice. They've dealt with 3 homeless people jerking off this morning already. Their empathy is gone.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were always hustling, and to the point, I don't know, I feel like there's, the stereotype here now about, people talking, Uber drivers talking, taxi drivers talking. In New York,
dude, that was just...
people would just shut up.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I have to be super careful as an Uber driver. We're trying to take all the safety precautions. I am the one Uber driver that won't just stop at the gas station for money. People are like, my last Uber driver did it. I'm like, dude, every time we don't use the term going postal anymore.
Postal?
Yeah, you remember the term going postal?
I don't know if I do.
It used to be like, oh man, you watch out for the quiet guy in the office. Bet he's going to go postal, right? Because back in the day, it was the post office worker who carried the stereotype that they were going to go, blow up the building or shoot the place up because of the stress of the job. And now, the mythos and the myth is now that Uber drivers are monsters and all criminals because a handful of them get caught doing terrible things. Which,
it's an easy job to take advantage of.
True and fair, but real talk, how many things from Amazon do you think have had their dick and balls rubbed on them before they got shipped to you? Just take a minute and think about how many people they employ. How shitty people say it is to work there.
How common of a kink do you think it is? Or do you think they're just in the splash zone? Or do you think they're doing it to the packages deliberately?
I am saying that because for years we've heard that some of these big name employers do not treat the low-end workers well.
Yeah.
They don't give them prompt benefits. They don't pay. And case in point, Luigi Mascarpone at Talaroni happens, right? And there was very little empathy for the CEO. They were like, maybe it's just healthcare. And then the rest of the country was like, nah, it's kind of CEOs in general. And it was like, oh, shit, not a good time to have those initials in front of your name. Oh, fuck. That shows you that people are not happy with these big companies. So we know that like fast food employees dip their balls in the sauce every once in a while because they're mad at the system, right? They're mad at the customers, they're mad at their boss, they're mad at life in general. It's been a myth because it's rooted in some truth. There's been videos of like the Burger King guys standing in the lettuce way back in the day that went viral, right? So if those places that are paying $15 to $17 an hour now are still, like, if that's happening there, then you're telling me that Amazon warehouses, Amazon, the company for whom, and I haven't done this, but I know people who have, the company for whom you can return an item you didn't even buy and get a refund or a replacement on the item you still have.
Really?
Because they don't fucking check.
Huh.
They don't check what's in the box when you send it back.
Like, I've heard of you used to be able to return clothes up to a year, and so people would buy a full wardrobe and then return it like 11 months. Yeah. It would just be free. You know?
Jeff Bezos has trillions of dollars at his disposal. Do you think that company really cares, like, if they're missing a sweater? Oh, you got me for 15. Oh no, I only have $176 trillion left. Oh damn! Like the dude's
It's amazing how there's some extremely big companies, and they have like signs that's like family owned. It's like this is the whole franchise,
right?
Like, it's all one family,
right?
Like, is that a good? This doesn't feel like family. This isn't a family,
right?
Restaurant or business. This is corporate as hell.
Exactly. I like when we're running our TV show. We've been trying to reach out and connect local small businesses and non-for-profits with. We're trying to get connected, build a network with them, because what we want to offer and eventually do is provide the opportunity to make commercials for them. And eventually in the long run, like maybe it'll make money, but for the time being, the real idea is how do we connect the writers, the actors, the directors, the cinematographers here at Indie.
Yeah, it's a lot to manage.
Right, how I put all of you in the room with a client. Because a lot of the entertainment industry is actually marketing and advertising. That's probably more, they produce more commercials than they do movies every year by far.
And they're still running out of commercials.
Yes.
Like, it drives me nuts. You could be watching a game and they'll just be like, we'll be right back. Like, we ran out of commercials.
Right.
It's so stupid.
But we know that if you have experience being in the negotiation room when those things are being hammered out, like you brought them a script, you sold them on an idea, you bring them a script, and they're like, ooh, we like this, but it doesn't quite, well, this line doesn't line up with our value. The ability to have been in the room and have that negotiation, if you ever find yourself then working in that capacity in a broader setting, you may just be the person who's getting the notes that we got to rewrite. And everybody else is going to complain and bitch, oh, why do we have a rewrite? This is so dumb. But if you've been on the other side of that office door in the negotiations with the client, then you have a better understanding how the business side. As artists, I always joke that artists and business people really don't get along. We're oil and water. Artists do it for the sake of the project, and hopefully money will come later. Business has to have a product we can sell. There has to be money in there. So the two are intricately and forever married together because of capitalism and the world we live in. But the two forever don't understand each other. So the opportunity we give the artist the ability to understand that, and also then we can target people who can't, like, how much does Fox 59 and NBC and ABC here locally charge for a commercial? What are their fees? What are their things? Well, that's what I'm saying. We looked into it and we said, okay, then why don't we don't want to undercut the market. We want to go to the people who can't afford to even get into that market. Because you can help us learn, we can help you do that, and then maybe if we do a good one, it might get picked up by somebody big, an affiliate, and then wow, look at that, everybody has come up. Yeah. Right?
That's the idea, is just to, highlight everybody's talents and bring people together.
Exactly.
I really like highlighting the juxtaposition between art and business. I mean, capitalism and businesses are, just looking out for the bottom line for the sake of the business, which I'm not against capitalism, to be honest. That's not what this point was supposed to be about.
Right. This is not a socialist podcast or a communist podcast in any way, shape, or form.
So I work in architecture, and like we talk a lot about like the value of art because it's often not like monetary. It's not money like most of the time. Like bringing up a space or an environment, art can accomplish that, but it's not necessarily going to have a direct correlation to.
No, but there is the thing called the broken window effect, right? Which is that if a car or a building sits abandoned and all the windows are intact, for the most part, people leave the building alone. But as soon as you start damaging the facade, you break a window, within a week, whole place is run.
Yeah.
All the windings are starting to get smashed out. People are starting to break in. Things are getting taken. It's called the broken window effect because we collectively as a society look at something that's like in a building abandoned building, abandoned car, and we assume that somebody's coming back to take care of it, somebody owns it, somebody will be there. But as soon as we see it's decrepit, well, then why not have a little fun? Like somebody else smash a window. Oh, why not? Oh, yeah, nobody cares about this, so we might as well think.
So art kind of elevates that space, or it increases people's respect for that space.
A fresh coat of paint makes it seem that this place is now valuable because somebody's invested enough to paint it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's like so much, like any long-term strategy, you want to, any investment, you want it to increase, you want it to gain value.
Yep. Well, and most artists, like a lot of people don't realize, most artists, because I do some visual art at home. I've been doing it for years. I started early as an artist, so I don't think I'm good. People tell me I'm not bad. I can draw a little bit, I can paint a little, I can do, I'm not bad with my hand, right? I'm a jack of all trades. I joke I've completed the artist triple crown, essentially, because I've been paid for a visual art piece that I sold.
Nice.
Thank you, Lauren Snow, for buying my piece of art. I've never been able to go back and see, thanks to the modern era we live in with school shootings. You can't just walk into your high school anymore and be like, "Hi, I'm here to visit." They're like, "Do you have a pass? Or you have an appointment? Why are you here? You're a strange white man. I don't care that you graduated here. Have you seen the news?" Yeah. So it's not like I've been back to see, but I know the piece they bought. I got paid, $250 for it, and then I got paid to be a stand-up comedian. Obviously. Nice. I've been paid as an actor both on stage and in film, and then I've been paid as a musician. So for me as an artist, that is like the worst validation my wife could ever hope I would get, because it means don't quit.
Yeah, for
keep
sure.
striving for the view. But yeah, one of the things that people don't realize, we get paid for our art. You buy my art, right? I make a beautiful painting, a beautiful mural, however long hours, blood, sweat, and tears, yada yada. And even if you pay me $1 million for it, I get $1 million. You've now valued my art at $1 million. Okay? Yep. When you resell it for $26 million to a collector, to an art studio, to the next buyer in the line, I get none of that money. Most artists don't get $1 million for the piece when they sell it. They get like $200, $500, a couple $1,000. Then it gets resold to Sotheby's or to these auction houses or to the art collectors for millions of dollars. So one of the tricks I've done for years with friends of mine who are artists, if I can, let me buy a piece of your art. Now, I'm going to pay what I can. I'm a poor man, so I paid one of my buddies like $50. He still owes me a painting, but I'll pay $50, $200, $100. Let me buy you one of your paintings. Yeah. And then I'm not ashamed to go online and say I'm willing to sell this and set the price incredibly high. Why not?
Yeah.
And then never accept the offer. Like, if it's not a high enough offer, then I'm going to decline.
Yeah.
Let's have a bidding war. Let's see how high this goes. And let's make sure that at the end of the day, I can also say I've decided I'm going to decline to sell it this time. It doesn't matter. As soon as I begin appraising that and begin pitching how much I think it's worth, your art as an artist is now immediately more valuable. Everything you produce is now something you can sell for a little bit more. We're pushing people this way because what you're creating in the art world, there's always an artificial supply and demand. Now, granted, there's always the supply is based on the artist, but the demand is always incredibly arbitrary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to get people to see the demand.
Yeah.
From like a developer's perspective.
Exactly. Well, and it's also like, it's not like you can paint the homeless people too. Because like if you could put them in a suit and give them a job and then paint the building, people would be like, well, I can really see where this has some potential. But yeah, that's the catch-22, especially with like a downtown or a city place, is that you can paint the building, but if you don't deal with like the
infrastructure failures.
The infrastructure failures and the bigger societal issue. There's a hotel in France. It's like right in like a scenic spot in France. Well, not scenic. I don't know. I've never been to France. I've never been to Paris. But I do know this. There was a homeless encampment underneath the overpass across the street because of a lot of migrants who had moved into the area because of all this displacement that happened a couple of years prior, right? So for years in this travel company I worked for, we would get calls whenever somebody's at this resort about all the homeless people over there. And it was frustrating because it's like they're across the street.
Yeah.
What is the hotel supposed to do? We have decided to form a coalition with the cafes on both our left and our right, and we will push the homeless people into Belgium. Like, right? What are you supposed to do? Like, exactly.
Yeah, the homeless problem is getting too. It's getting so real and so. I mean, it's kind of everywhere. Like Indiana's getting pretty bad. I know homeless people all around here. For sure.
Oh yeah, well I made myself homeless through some bad choices, bad luck during the recession. I ended up homeless in 2008, and I ended up I went out to Burning Man. We were helping some friends move to California. My car got rolled and wrecked on the way there. I was asleep in the back, mind you, when that happened. The whole thing. So we make it all then we end up halfway in between Burning Man and Indiana. We're going to head home to Indianapolis, lick our wounds, call it a day. Yeah. And then the universe literally just pushes us closer to Burning Man. So we were just like, fuck it. So we hitchhiked all the way to Reno, Nevada, and we go to Burning Man, and I got to attend it for like 4 days. It was a trip. It was crazy. I love Burning Man. It was one of the best experiences. Cool. And I remember there's a moment where I was walking around, I had a cowboy or a pirate hat at the time that I would wear all the time, unironically. And then I'm wearing like one of these t-shirts, and it's just like flowing in the wind. I got my acoustic guitar with me, and I walk by this guy, and he's like, "Are you gonna burn your guitar, man?" And I told him no, and he's like, "What? That's not very Burning Man." And I told him what had happened on the way getting there and how I only had a backpack full of my stuff, a sleeping roll, and my guitar. And the dude was like, "Dude, you've burned enough, brother." And like walked away. It was the fucking treat. Yeah, oh my God. I had a moment right out of Fear and Loathing where there was a dust storm that swept through, and I had a cup of mead that I had just gotten. And I literally, as soon as I walk out of this tent, this brand new cup of mead and a couple drinks in, dust storm hits, and I immediately duck back in. And just like Hunter S. Thompson in the movie, I just looked, it was just like, I just poured mud out of my cup because it just gets in so fast.
Yeah, that's tough.
Oh, but it was an experience. And then I helped my friends move to California. My one friend, they had plans for they had plans of what they were going to do. And I remember telling them, I don't want to bog you down. It was really dumb. It was avoided attachment style probably behavior where I was like, I really don't want to like sink your boat and drag you down. So I just went off and became homeless basically. I had nowhere to go. I had a couple of family members up there, but they weren't anybody I felt like. I was like, I don't want to like be like, I'm on your porch and I'm homeless, help me. So I just was like, man, I'm 20 something years old, right? Let's make my way. 3 months. I basically lived in Golden Gate Park and up in the Emerald Triangle. I bummed around from like Ukiah and Willits way up north, Mendocino County, and then all the way down to at some point Monterey and San Jose, and mostly Golden Gate Park, Haight-Ashbury. And I've always made $25 an hour in a can of beer on the street corner anywhere I've played. Like some sort of shitty minimum wage with terrible benefit, right? It's the weirdest thing. So in California, I would be playing, instead of beer, they would just keep giving me huge joints and like all these, because weed was legal out there at the time. It had just become legal. There was even a moment where I was coming out, I was sleeping underneath an overpass in Northern California, and I come walking across the train tracks into town. I'm going into they give me food stamps and health insurance in 2 days. I was like, I'm homeless. 2 days later, food stamps and health insurance card. Yeah, granted, I know there's some Republicans on here who'd be like, that's why California's broke. But for contrast, I came back to Indiana and was like, help, I'm homeless, I'm from here, help me, I want to get back on my feet. And they were like, are you a man? I said, yeah. Are you married? No. Do you have any kids? No. They said, we will give you nothing. Get out.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's so
Get out.
wild.
You
That's
wonder why some of these people out here are homeless because there's no food
I know the
Social Security
resources
benefit
suck.
for like if you're a
It's
single
not.
man like us and you have 3 bad days and end up homeless, move to a democratic state, homie. You are not safe here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's tough. But so I was walking back to the point. I was walking across the train tracks, right? And I'm coming in from wine country because there's all these farms off where I'd been sleeping by the overpass, all these like wineries and stuff. And as I'm walking across the train tracks, going the other way, is like a 5'something Mexican man, and he's wearing like bright blue shirt and clean pants and his cowboy boots and a 10-gallon hat. I mean, he's looking very clean. Like he just woke up this morning, all clean clothes. We're walking past the tracks together, right? And he's smoking a hog's leg of a joint, just a fatty, just right. And I remember this is what he did. Is he walked past me. He was like, "Mota, señor," right? And I was like, "See, I'm homeless at the time," so I was like, "See," and we changed hands, never breaking stride. Never breaking stride, going the opposite direction. And now I have the other half. Because he smoked about half of what this is. You can tell by the way it's burned and the way that the resin's burned. You can tell he's smoked about half of it. And he just keeps walking the other day and was like, "Buenos dias, señor," and just kept walking. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? What kind of an experience is this? California, I love California. It's just...
Yeah, I've only visited once.
They
I went
need, like...
to Santa Monica.
I say this with love and respect. They need to remove like 75% of the people and relocate them into Idaho and Arizona and the neighboring states where there's plenty of room. Okay, and then California would be amazing and somewhat affordable. But to do that, it's like...
I don't think it'll ever be affordable just because of how nice it is.
Exactly.
It's amazing. When it's not burning.
They should put a time limit though. That's there we go. There's a crazy
like a
policy
judge
ready.
or something.
Yeah, like a time limit. So it's like you can live up to 20 years in these beautiful parts but then you need to move and let everybody else have a chance to move in here. So we keep New York City is the same way. Don't tell me that you're actually staying here for all of you are just sitting waiting for one of those rent lock apartments to become free, and then you are the fat cat for the rest of your life who has the rent control apartment that's only like $200 because of the 70s and it's been in grandma's name for a decade and a half, right?
That's the way to do it. Is just lock it in on a non-variable and live there till you die.
No, I love those places. I got family out there, and I say this with love, but like I prefer Indiana because in California and in Florida and Hawaii and all these beautiful, like if it's somewhere where people are like, oh, Instagram vacation, and you're in paradise. There's like this unwritten rule that you're not allowed to be an asshole in paradise.
Shouldn't be.
Exactly.
Be polite.
So when you're getting stabbed and you're like, I thought we were friends, they're like, we were, squippa. There's this, like, that's why you get conned and ripped off by these people all the time. In New York City.
There's some blinders that go on.
In New York City, the weather is so quick to become rainy, cold, and bitter. That on that East Coast, especially New York City, Boston, there's no time for politeness, so we just need to get straight to the point. So it's like refreshing, because like you're like, officer, I feel like you're robbing me at this point. He's like, oh, I'm definitely fucking robbing you. I stopped, I helped you change the tire, now I'm taking something I don't rightfully deserve. What part of this fucking transaction do you not understand? It is getting ready to piss rain off that ocean in about 5 seconds. We need to get on with our day. And you're like, your honesty is just so refreshing.
Well, thanks for being straight up.
Thank you for telling me the truth. He's like, you're very welcome. By the way, I'm going to shoot you now. Bam! Like, ah! But no.
It's such an opportunistic... it starts raining, all of a sudden, everybody sells an umbrella. It's like, where did you all come from?
In the Midwest, that's why you get that ope in the Midwest, because the weather is perpetually ope. It's like, sorry, not sorry. In weather form, like the poor weather forecaster is like, today's going to be a high of 80 and a chance of blizzard. Like, sorry, not sorry.
It seems like I used to, like when I was in Cincinnati, I was like, man, it seems like every like winter or like fall, winter, it gets super gray, like for months. And now I'm living back in Indiana. I'm like, man, it happens here too. Is it just everywhere? Is just the world just gray in like fall?
It's a weird, it's that weird like lake effect weather, Midwestern like thing. I prefer the fall and spring because the temperatures to my liking.
Yeah.
Dead of winter, dead of summer become absolute just hell extremes. Like
the
too
transitions
hot,
are the best.
yes. But it's nice because in Indiana, you wake up some days and you're like, oh, I feel like shit. And then you look outside and you're like, oh, that tracks.
Yeah.
Look what it looks like outside.
It's been like 20-some degrees the past couple of days, and everybody's been like, it's not that bad.
It really has, coming out of negative something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's, again, I do love that Midwestern optimism. Like, it's the same reason I love Canadians. Like, they experience severe weather, so, like, for them, over half the year, you could, like, die because you forgot your jacket when you went to get the mail. Right? And I think that...
the paper.
Yeah, that's
you
why...
didn't have shoes on, you got frozen
Exactly.
outside.
Yeah, that's why when you, like, hit one with your car, and you're like, oh, God, I'm sorry. They're like, it's okay, all things considered. I still got one leg I can walk on, and honestly, I should have not been walking when the crosswalk said to go anyway. I saw you coming pretty fast. Like,
at least I get to see you.
Exactly. For context. And then the further north you get, it gets even better, because the further north you get to, like, the Scandinavian culture, and you're like, tell me a joke, and they're like, okay, you want to hear a joke? And they're like, death comes for us all. End of joke. And you're like, whoa, got dark there, Sven. Really dark. My sister froze when I was 4. We don't swim anymore. Like, whoa, okay. Yeah. It's weather. That's why I love...
That's why people...
what's that?
Like California, is that why they're so like pretentious and
yes. Always pretending to be upbeat, happy, and the best day ever. Same thing in Florida. You're just like, greatest day. That's
fake.
I think that's also why in a lot of countries where like there's a lot of conflict, and you hear this in like the Israeli accent, like, you know, the New England Jewish accent is more like Don Rickles. Right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Jewish in the Don Rickles. But then the Israeli accent is a little bit more, it's like higher animated, right? It's a little bit like...
a little more bounce.
Exactly, more bounce, exactly. You see the same thing in a lot of African dialects and sort of their accents, where there's like this almost sort of bouncy happiness, and I wonder often if it's just because of we don't really... The more pressure there is on an environment, the more it comes out in the way you speak, and the more change there is. And this is an actual scientific thing. The more change and pressure there is, the more incremental the situation is, the faster you speak. And so that's where you get these weird, awesome accents and these beautiful languages and these beautiful rhythms, because of the way that environment and social pressure and all this. And I had a friend I was telling this to, and they said, oh, that's actually a scientific thing. And then I realized that, like, it represents itself perfectly in one spot in the world, and that's Australia and New Zealand. All right? Because Australian is just the Queen's English is up here. Proper, prim, gorgeous, right? At the time, the tone, the time will be 11:40, right? And then if you get lazy like a Southerner and relax, it goes from prim and proper to shrimp on the barbie.
Oh, yeah.
Very low, and you gotta be relaxed, mate. You gotta take your time and go very slow, because it's really fucking hot out here.
Yeah.
Like, you just...
Sounds like the outback.
Exactly. You never know what's going to come. And then you go to New Zealand, which actually has the fastest incremental weather of anywhere else in the world. Their nation, like the country of Zealand's got an infamous, informal, alleged, like, motto of, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. As soon as you get up there, the accent is suddenly up here. It's a little more nasally, and it's so much faster. Like, oi, gonna get your skivvies on. Come on, gonna get your billy bum. Let's go. We gotta hurry. Come on, shrimp on the barbie. Let's go. Like, and it's literally that. Like, the slower weather down here, less incremental, slower rate of talking, faster rate of talk. They're not that far apart, but just that shift in weather, and it changes the entire accent. There's Reese Darby. Up here, Taiti Waititi, like up here, he's a New Zealander. He's very popular right now, New Zealander comics. Randy Feldface, very funny puppet comedian. He's got the New Zealand accent. It's up here. It's very quick and bouncy. And the Australian accent is a little bit lower. I love it. Oh, I love it.
That's cool. Like, like Ireland. I visited Ireland.
My wife has been. I want to go. I love it.
Amazing. Yeah, they just started direct
It's so
flights
lyrical
now, so.
to hear the Irish. It's so lyrical and bouncy the way the Irish speak. It's like they're always getting ready to sing a lilt or something. I've got family. My mother's family's from Scotland. Scotland's in the back of your throat. It's not that brookish like I'm Sean Connery, but it's definitely a little bit more harder on the consonants, right?
Yeah.
You see things like haggis, right? We invented golf and Scotch whiskey. Not regular whiskey, Scotch whiskey, ready? Like Colin Ferguson, that's a little bit more rough. Whereas the Irish is a little bit lovelier, a bit softer on the palate. Yeah. And they've got all the dialects from Dublin and Northern Ireland and all that, but I love the Irish.
That's an impressive range you got. I want to establish like a line or two to like go into an Irish accent because in Ireland I was like I know I'm talking an Irish accent right now, but I don't know, it's hard to fall into.
When I'm doing acting, I develop what I call a mnemonic key. It's a trick I've learned. A mnemonic key, so it's a phrase or sentence or something that I can use to really hit the tones that I want. So I did a play a couple of years back where they needed to do a voiceover of somebody pretending to be former Mayor Richard Lugar here in Indiana, right, Indianapolis. A fun fact, I went to high school with his granddaughter. I think she's a cop in Lawrence now, if Facebook told me to write out. I don't really care. But anyway, I had to figure him out, so I had to listen to a bunch of speeches of him and listen to things. And he had this speech about, as the pie gets smaller, the hands get sharper, right? He had this analogy about how we're sharing a giant pie and we got to split it up evenly, make sure everybody gets their slice of the pie, right? Yeah. So that was my mnemonic key. It'd be like, as the pie gets smaller, the hands get sharper. And Senator Richard Lugar, because he went on to be a senator, and he was from the age and time in which if you went to a certain type of school, then you learned what was called the New Englander accent, which is where you were taught to speak in that old-timey way, the way that they would on the news and radio. And unfortunately, Richard Lugar was not a great orator, in my opinion, because he had this sort of Jimmy Stewart sort of way of stuttering and stopping on the way. And he really accentuated his P's. Things like IUPUI, very powerful university here in
It's so slow. It reminds me of being in college and professors just taking the simplest concept and talking about it for 30 minutes and talking in circles. You've made the same point 3 times. Please let me leave.
Please let me leave. Oh God, please, yes. No, I grew up imitating voices, doing action figures and imitating voices and wanting to be in, loving acting and just that whole creative sandbox that you get to play in. So, my dream someday is to do professional voice acting and to do that. Oh,
I can see that for sure.
Would be that's the best thing we especially when you've got kids. As a parent, you forget how powerful a voice is. Okay, clean up your room, right? The kids don't listen to you. They're like, oh, down, play it, But if you go in there and be like, I am a Mojo Jojo. You must clean up your room now, not later, not 2 minutes from now, not 5 minutes from now, not 5 seconds from later. No, you must do it now. All of a sudden the kids are like, whoa, hey, I'm going to get into this. Yes.
For sure.
I told you to find your socks. Not your pants, your socks, not your shoes, not your shirt. To put them on before you put on your shoes. Not to put your shoes on and then your socks. You want to put your socks. Kids are they respond to that they will ask me, can you do the Mojo Jojo voice? Can you do Fuzzy Lumpkins? Can you do can you please do? So.
The tonality is something you see so vividly with how animals respond to people.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking to an animal and you're like, get down, stop it.
Right.
They don't give a shit. But if you're like, hey, Get the hell down.
Yes, you gotta kind of like I knew somebody at one point who she was like a very sort of petite woman, but whenever she talked to her dog, she'd be like, anyway, so I was over there and get down. Yeah. She had heard that like more bass makes the dog respond better. Yeah. So anytime she'd be like, would you like a cookie? Anyway, so I was getting my nails done the other day and don't pee on the yard. Like,
who's a good boy?
Yeah, who's a good boy? Here comes the demon voice. So yeah, that's Stitch is one. I'm trying to work my way. Yeah, I've been doing that voice for years.
Yeah.
I've been doing it as like whenever I needed to make like an inanimate object or something that was right, and then that movie came out and my niece loved it, so she would make me do the voice.
Yeah.
Constantly. The Joker I don't generally do for people because you have to really like, and when I say the Joker, I mean the proper Joker. My inspiration is always Mark Hamill's. Mark Hamill's Joker is the only one that if I played him on the other end of the phone and you were listening, it would make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like the phone call from Heath Ledger's Joker, and he's just like, you want to know how I got my scars, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't. No. But a phone call from the other one, and he's like, Steven, what did I tell you about not calling me back on the 14th? And you're like, whoever's on the other end of this fucking phone is going to hang up right now because you are making me uncomfortable.
Nothing to do.
My ringtone used to be him laughing.
Oh, really?
And it started low and built to a crescendo, and it is such a great audio clip that my phone would ring and people would tell me to put my phone on silent because it was in the other room in the dark, and they did not want to go into that room because all of a sudden from like the dark room you just hear the like like, and it just built to this huge. People were like, it's my own house. That's my living room, and all I did was turn the light off in there. But your phone is in there ringing. There's a demon in there. I can't go in there. You need to go turn your ringer off right now. Yeah, I had a whole DC phone for a while. I had all these. There was a game called DC Infinity Crisis. It was a MOBA, and I had gone into the game and I stole all these audio files and assigned them all to my rig. So like. Superman was Twitter. Yeah, anything Twitter was a Superman call. That was my wife used to hate it. In the morning, I turned my phone on for the day, and it would just start with the Green Lantern quote, in darkest day, in brightest light, because that meant I had an email from Gmail, right? Nice. And then it would be like, up and away, up and away. That's Twitter going off, right? X, Twitter, whatever. At the time, it was Twitter. Yeah. And then text messages were Batman. Darkness surrounds me. Kevin Connery doing that Batman. Like, I had all of it. The Flash was, I think, my calendar. Fastest man alive. And it was like, all my push notifications. So with my phone and its voice on, and it just got us like connected to the internet and having being dark, and you're at like work, all of a sudden it's just like the Justice League is just like shouting from your pocket. They're just darkness. So my favorite is they would skip. They would all like bunch up every now and then. So you would have like, it would go like, in brightest day, in blackest, up and away, darkness surround, dark, fastest man alive, darkness surrounds me. And I was like, oh, shit, I gotta check my phone. I got like 13 notifications and the Justice League is pissed.
Yeah, the whole squad's fucking here.
Oh, it's so fucking great. So, how long have we been talking? It feels like we've been flying through this. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, it is like, we're at about 55 minutes. I did want to talk to you about like your shows. I saw your website. Did I pull up the website?
Yeah, you had it pulled up a minute ago. I'm glad you said it because my co-producer would kick my ass if I didn't plug this show. He told me to plug. This is, I'm so proud of my baby. I got laid off from the job I thought I'd retire from, and then we got greenlit the same month.
Oh, really?
Literally, July 2nd, I find out I'm losing my job.
Is this the correct show? Hell yeah.
That's the
I love the
one.
poster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm spoofing?
Is this... I mean, I was gonna say Trump.
Pull up a second window real fast.
Okay.
Because I try to have fun with every poster. All right? And now Google John Wick.
Ooh. I do love some John Wick.
I have fun. Whenever I'm making the posters, I try and really have fun with it. We got our little logo character that I created. I don't have a name for that duck yet, but he's been on all of my posters. And we created our seal. Yeah, you see it? Now you see it. There it is. Yeah, put that on so you can see. Yeah, John Wick 2, baby. So I was like, every time I'm making these posters, I was kind of like, if I have an original idea, sure. But when I'm having fun with it as the comedian, I love a good parody.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do we parody this? And that's not the John Wick photo. That is, I created all of that myself. That's all my self-generated stuff. So we're not like ripping off his jacket and stuff like that. No. And then I've got these. I create them on my phone. It's so fun. But this is my baby. I love this.
What's the show all about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a nutshell, we realized that there really is no good way to build marketing material for artists here in Indianapolis. There is. I say that's a really hard shtick. It's not what I mean to say. What I mean to say is that we keep getting told to move to LA, New York, Chicago, start from the bottom, grind your way up to the top. And I was like, why don't we build something to build resume credits? Why don't we, my aha moment was, my kids call YouTube TV. When they say they want to watch TV, they don't ever mean Hulu, Netflix, yada yada. They always mean YouTube because YouTube can be pulled up. So I was like, my kids are watching YouTube. Okay, so YouTube is TV. That's hurdle number one. Hurdle number two is, okay, well then what kind of show are we going to make? And I remember telling a friend of mine, I said, well, Key and Peele got pulled off the air, and Chappelle Show got pulled off the air, and God knows, we all love them.
Who knows how long this will be on?
Forever hit and miss. It'll be on forever, but SNL's always like, you never know it's going to be a great episode about. But I was like, why don't we create a vehicle so that not only can we sort of spiritually pick up the ball, and that's a huge request, and I know that, but it was like, why don't we just make our own Chappelle Show? Why don't we make our own version of Key and Peele? And then in the process of doing that, let's create a vehicle where we can put all the stuff that people are making. This way here, you're not limited to just social media and all this other stuff. Now you have an actual TV show where we're going to film 2 to 3 hours live of comedy and one musical guest, and then we're going to cut it down to like an hour. If we can, we're going to put in commercials we made ourselves. We're going to put in bits from local cinematographers and indie films, and if they're too long, then I want a preview of your film. Let's do an interview with a traditional artist who's doing, we interviewed a friend of mine who does rugs, and a young lady I met in the last episode who does animations.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and I was like, let's highlight all this, but in the process, let's build a TV show where literally once a month, same way the art show at First Friday, cinematographers and performers now have Last Friday. And if you show up at the show and say, I want to help, we'll find a credit for you in the episode. Wow. If you just want to be in the audience, all the more power to you. If you're a comedian and you want to come out and perform, show up. Because even though I often reach out and try to get all the comics that I want to be on the show, and I'm not cherry picking anyone, I'm just reaching out to folks I know who have been in the comedy, who I think have enough material and want to get it filmed and have got that 10 to 15 minutes already prepared, right? Yeah. Because when you perform live, that's intense, but in front of a camera, when it's being recorded permanently, can get a little bit even more intense. So I want to make sure that you've had time to workshop that joke at the open mics, so let's not get in the way of them once a month.
Let's go That's a good
last
schedule.
Friday, so that we can make sure that if anybody doesn't have a show on that last Friday, you can come out to ours. And then, at this aha moment where I was like, oh my gosh, if you come out, you come out to this show this Friday, right? I don't technically have you on the bill right now, but I mean, if you want to come out and perform and somebody cancels, I will gladly put you up. Happy to. And that's how a lot of people have gotten on the show so far, is they were just in the room and somebody canceled. They're like, I got a flat tire, I'm not going to be able to make it. And I was like, dude, you want to do 10 minutes? Let's go. I mean, cameras are going to be rolling, and I'll do the time myself if I have to, but I don't want to. And then, if you're in the room and you're not performing as a comedian, or even as just somebody who loves comedy, I have got 3x5 cards, and we have a little writing session. We start getting there between 6:30 and 7:30, all of us performers, to set things up. And the doors open for the audience technically at 8. We start filming at 9, hard 9, right? In the time leading up to the show, we write monologue jokes, a la SNL, Colbert, Daily Show sort of.
Nice.
And if you give me one monologue joke, even if I don't read it on stage, even if I pull it out, see it, read it, and think, oh God, that's terrible, I'm going to get me canceled, and I flick it over, I'll still give you a writing credit in the episode because you provided something, right?
Yeah.
We can provide writing credits every episode. And I know that's not a huge thing, but as comics, we're trying to book gigs. That's one more.
Any line item you can do to like
exactly
prove you've had these experiences.
I've done it. I've been a part. We're trying to put this thing together. We're trying to work. So yeah, we're trying to create. I know a lot of shows are trying to do this. We're trying to create this space where everybody can constantly come back together. Let's come back and that's why we did this once a month. We were like, let's do a once a month show. Let's create this space where everybody can show. My dream is to have an episode where the bar is at full capacity. Okay. Real fast, 6 years of development. The reason why we picked Wonderful Bar and Grill in Pendleton Pike is because in Indianapolis we don't have good public transportation. Now, just happens they just put the Purple Line in and it goes right next to our bar. That's just luck of the draw, okay? More importantly, the building itself, I think, used to be a Menards. They have like 4 times the parking space for the internal capacity. Plus, they have all these other buildings next door that have overflow, and so there is more than enough. You should never not be able to find parking at this show, and it is less than 5 minutes off the Pendleton Pike exit. Just don't go toward Lawrence. Go the other way. You will be safe. Don't worry. We've been there for 5 episodes, going on 6. We've never had a problem.
That's awesome.
We picked this spot because we needed somewhere where we could eliminate the biggest issue with venues, which is 30 minutes to get there, 20 minutes to park, 10 minutes to walk back to the venue, all of that in reverse when it's time to get home, plus how much to pay for parking? All of that is removed at this venue.
Beautiful.
No 2-drink minimum because it's an actual bar. No offense, Crackers and Helium, but you could be doing what I was doing. You have the setup, you have the cameras, but you missed the boat, so now we're doing it at the Wonderful. Like, you've had the opportunity, but you only want to film, like, the big names, and that's probably going to get me canceled.
No, that's not true. Crackers, now Jerry's sending out tapes of his... He hooked me up on the...
Sending out tapes, but I've checked their social media. I don't exactly see them pioneering local voices.
I get that. It's hard to get up there. Like, I emailed them back.
Everybody wants to be the club in Ohio that Dave Chappelle pops into, but what they're not, in fact, the thing is, there's clubs up there in like Ohio that Dave Chappelle might pop into, and that's why they stay alive, because the hope that Dave might come in and do a set, or one of the local comics who lives here might pop in. New York, LA, it's the same thing. We know the local comics are here, so they might pop in. That's why their open mics are populated.
Yeah.
But here in Indiana, we only highlight the big names when they come to visit us. So why are our open mics not populated? Well, because we're not really doing a good job selling the local comics ourselves and saying, hey, the next big thing is right here in Indiana, and if you don't come see us while we're practicing, then you're never going to know us when we blow up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I did.
And to be fair, real fast, Crackers, Helium, look at me, camera 1, I see you. I love you. I love you very much. I want to work with you. I'd love to perform for you. However, I am not bringing 5 friends, Crackers. I don't have 5 friends who have the same Tuesday off. I can't do it. And Helium, you just let me perform for the very first time. I have been applying like over the course of like 3 years and always been put on your maybe later if somebody cancels second best list. But after 4 episodes of our show, you let me finally come out and perform. I don't want to say that looks a little funky, but it does kind of on the outside look a little funky that I had to do 4 episodes of our TV show before I feel like I was sort of noticed. And I love our local comics, but again, our scene could be doing better. Like, our scene could be doing more. We have an amazingly talented artist world here in Indianapolis. We used to, in the 20s, we used to rival the jazz. In the 1920s, this city rivaled Harlem. There was a huge argument whether Naptown or Harlem was the true capital and heart of jazz. People don't realize this because of the history of Indianapolis and the way that Indiana Avenue was sort of paved over and all that. So there is why does Indiana have this weird cultural identity? Well, because our cultural identity has been corn and race cars ever since we paved over Indiana Avenue and lost the jazz culture. Like, there's an opportunity to bring that back.
Yeah, for sure. The art scene, I do think it is growing. I know a lot of people trying to bring up the art scene. I've had a good time. I have a decent relationship with Crackers to where they let me go up. And
you should put in a good word for me. I just burned myself, but still, you should put in a good. I love.
No, for sure. I only get up with their open mics. I want them to let me promote like an actual night and have a show. Like
we need because I've got representation for acting and for modeling. Right, I do that on the side every now and then, and it pays occasionally, and I like doing it. And there's no shame. Helen Wells is awesome. I love him, but there's no representation for comics. I've looked.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of those places.
Yeah, you gotta self-produce for sure.
Exactly. They don't even let you audition. They're like, oh, we gotta come find you. So there's a huge market here for somebody to help. Like, I do. If for anyone watching who wants to be a manager of talent, I will give you 15% if you will book me gigs. And I know a lot of comics who would. So maybe I need to start that company and we need to start pushing it. Like,
yeah, booking. Yeah, but
yeah,
you gotta have some draw, right? Like, you can get booked places. I mean, there's obviously like corporate events that they bring the crowd. But like a comedy club, if you're headlining an event or having an event, you gotta bring in some tickets,
Oh, absolutely. But then the age-old question becomes, how do you build a brand if you're never allowed to perform, if you're not this is...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I only got up at Helium because I was on the alt list one night.
Yeah.
I just got lucky enough to get up.
Yeah.
That was my first time doing comedy, too.
I love this industry. I mean, obviously, that's why we started the show, is like, how do we build a way, because anybody who performs on our show gets free use of anything they're featured in. You want your set, I will send it to you. Anything that's in there, we're never coming after you to clip that and use it. It's there because of that reason.
Yeah.
We want you to take that clip. We want you to send it to the club and say, hey, look at me perform.
Yeah, I've been posting my stuff on YouTube because I just figure that's the only way I can grow is just putting out new stuff.
And we thought, why don't we, in terms of, because running a camera by yourself, I mean, setting up and tearing down on your podcasting, it's a pain in the butt, right? So we were like, why don't we, I don't know, the idea was, why don't I not outsource it, but why don't I find the people who want to do that? I went to the Indiana Filmmakers Network, the guys who want to make movies and make TV and make cinema. I said, would you guys like credits for helping make this show? Cameraman, camera 2, assistant cameraman, gaffing, lighting, sound, all of that. They were like, yeah. So we've been working. That's where we're getting the folks running the cameras. I don't have comedians running the cameras. I have guys who want to make movies, and then we went to Robert's Cameras and got a sponsorship, so that we're working with the professional gear that you would be using. Robert's Cameras is a world-renowned camera shop. They actually work with LA and New York studios all the time because they need specialty lenses, etc. And a lot of people here in Indiana buy their equipment. But if you're trying to make a short film, rent that stuff. Go to Robert's and talk to them. Go to the rental department and rent that stuff. That's what we do, so that we're getting professional gear worked by people who want to work that professional gear professionally, or did at one point and now want to show people how to do that. Let's then produce content for you so that it's better than what you could get on your cell phone. You can market yourself better, and everybody gets a credit they can add to their resume. Oh yeah, I've been going
I'm down. I did 10 minutes yesterday at Colonial Tavern. It was my first time doing 10.
Nice.
And it went well. I was very happy with it.
I like more time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I felt like, I definitely could. It wasn't all of my jokes, but I felt like it was I want to post the video. I'm going to cut it and post it.
Yeah.
And then now I'm going to come up with new material. The next thing I'm actually booked for is Crackers the 13th.
Nice. See, I need to book some more shows. I need to get...
Crackers, they'll get you a spot.
Yeah, I need to. What I've been thinking of. I'm looking into trying to... Actually, I'm getting ready to probably send out a bunch of emails, but I'm trying to book some more paid shows around. And part of this is also...
That was my first paid show. I was so happy.
My favorite so far was I got to headline a really small cannabis club up in Michigan.
That's cool.
And they gave me a swag bag, and I got a 30-minute set. Oh, it was so
30-minute
set. Oh my gosh.
That's dope.
See, for me, you've seen me perform. We met at an open mic.
Yeah.
So he can attest, and maybe you've seen this in the video. I am not on drugs right now. I am cocaine personified. I am the embodiment of John Mulaney before the intervention, okay? Without any substance. There's no amphetamine or cocaine or any of those funamines in my system. This is who I am naturally. For years, I've pulled it back, trying to be like, I don't want to be too much like Jim Carrey or too much like Robin Williams or too much like Edward. But here recently, I've just been like, I'm just letting the genie out of the bag. I'm just going to get on stage. So when you give me a short set, 5 to 7 minutes, 10 minutes or less, the shorter the set, the harder it is for me to remember the jokes I wanted to do tonight. Yeah. The more likely it is that it's just like, ah! You saw me in the open mic. I didn't even tell a joke about death metal. I just went on an educational lecture about Christopher Lee because I got all excited. I was like, oh, this dude's a badass!
But that's what the personality, without, It was a bucket pull, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was a bucket pull.
So
and
it's
it was
not
funny.
like you have like
Yes.
punchlines in the back pocket, but
Right.
your knowledge and your charisma was entertaining.
As soon as I got off
sure.
stage, you know what I thought was? Fuck, I forgot. My favorite thing about death metal is the fact that the lyrics don't ever have to rhyme or even make any sense. When you read the lyrics, it's just a grocery list. It's like coffee, bread, milk. But on the album, it's like, coffee, bread, and you're like, this is the baddest thing ever.
See,
Like,
that's what I think the bucket was for. Like,
Yeah.
I pulled out like best suicide plan, and I was like, I don't know, I haven't even thought about
I
it.
haven't even
But
thought-
best
I'm a healthy
funeral,
individual.
I thought about best funeral, and then I ranted about the Tibetan sky funeral, which was cool. But it wasn't the most funny thing. It was just like in Tibet they parade. They like chop up the dead body and parade them to the top of a mountain in buckets. And then, like afterwards, I was talking about it with a friend and like riffing about like I bet all those vultures got real fat during coronavirus and stuff. And like I don't know,
That's
it
terrible.
Found the funny,
yes.
Eventually, but the idea came from the stupid suicide note.
Yep. Well, and I feel like the more time I have, the easier it is for me to sort of to relax and slow down a little bit when I'm doing comedy.
Yeah.
So I still have my energetic bits, but I'm not in a rush to get to the next joke. I'm not in a rush to like finish the bit. I'm not, because I got a good sense of time, and I generally do well keeping my time right where it needs to be. But it's the sort of like, I wanted to get to this joke and that joke and this joke and this joke, and if you're not careful, you don't leave room for the laugh.
For sure.
So, and there's also no room for crowd work with a 5-minute set.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, if you're doing crowd work, then your entire set for that short 5 to 7 minute set is just all crowd work. So it's make or break on that first couple of questions.
Yeah.
Like, but
yeah, I definitely love. It's this Friday, right? I definitely
Yep.
love to. I'm gonna get this
Yeah.
episode out. I don't know what time, but I'm gonna get it out tomorrow, so
Yeah.
people will be able to.
yeah, absolutely.
Make it out.
Well, and we're getting ready to do, I'm going to put out some videos later on tonight, but we are officially doing a casting call for all writers, directors, actors, cinematographers, and musicians. We encourage all of you to come out to the show, because what we want to start premiering, what we're working on next for the show, is called a micro-series.
Yeah, I saw a page on the website about
The
that.
idea of the micro-series is, Hollywood's not taking big gambles right now. They've got this weird thing, they want IP, they want franchise, etc. So we're like, why don't we take the green light? Why don't we green light the film? And all I'm going to say is, your green light is this. You have my permission to go make it. If you have a clever idea and you think it's funny, make it into a 5-minute episode, go film it, doesn't matter how good it. If it's bad, if it looks bad, you go to editing, you're like, oh, that doesn't look as clean as I want. Ask yourself, what era does it look like it was made in? Then modify and pretend that's your tone. Like, I like to put things in black and white. That's Kevin, what's his name? Kevin Smith, Clerks.
Okay.
Poor camera, didn't like the color, so they put it in black and white. That was the workaround. If something looks grainy, how do you sell it that this was like found footage from the 80s? How do you sell the retro 70s vibe? You lean into that aesthetic, that crappy aesthetic, and in this day and age, you can actually make it work.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but micro series, and that way there we can greenlit things. We can get these episodes. We have these 5-minute episodes we put in, and if one of them's successful, if we get feedback, oh, I like that, then we can go ahead and produce more and use the same actors, the same director, the same writer, etc.
Steamroll it into a full show.
Exactly. Well, and we also don't want to limit ourselves to just comedy.
Yeah.
So we want the drama.
But it's a launching
We
point
want
for anybody.
we want dramedy, action. What we film and put out, we use the stand-up comedy we make as sort of the rice in the sushi.
Yeah.
The episode keeps coming back to the stand-up. We start with the stand-up, we end with the stand-up. We got our musical guests, but we step away. We cut from the stand-up to go to a short film. We cut to the stand-up to go to a 5-minute episode. We cut from the stand-up to go to our own commercial.
That's cool.
Yeah, why not?
Hell yeah.
So.
All right, well, maybe we should wrap up. We've
Damn!
talked.
Oh my God!
Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to plug at the end of the episode here?
Just a show worth watching. The Department of Menial Humor presents. You can find us all on Facebook. You can find us on all the social medias. It's the Department of Menial Humor. That's the name of the group. A show worth watching. That's the name of the show. And we do have a website, departmentofmenialhumor.com, which has all of our information where you can find us. Like I said, if you just want to be in the crowd and you say, I want to help with the make, I I will give you a credit. My dream is 250 pen, right? Standing right
Yeah.
at the end of the episode, I'm back there with like a beer and a pen and a paper, and I'm like, okay, and what was your name? And your email address? All right, how do you feel about being the assistant to the DJ's cousin?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get that put in for you. You can add that to your resume.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna come Friday. I'm planning on going.
Man.
I'm excited.
Absolutely. Bring a friend, bring several. So, and it's free tickets. For the time being, it's free. We are not charging anything at the door to get in until we are at a point where we have audience in mass to the point where we have to turn people away. Like when we have standing room only, the next show might have a ticket price for the audience members.
Yeah.
But I refuse to charge a price for this show for an audience member until we have full house.
Cool.
So,
Well, awesome.
yeah, appreciate it, man. This has been fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do the intro here. All
Yep.
right. So, Frank Dzuba, thanks for coming on.
Happy to be here, sir.
Or should I say Dzuba?
Dzuba, yes. It's a fun last name to say.
Yeah.
Dzuba. You can have a lot of fun with that. Just accentuate it however you want. Oh my God, Donald Trump would have a field day with me. This Dzuba kid. Dzuba, I don't know who he is. Dzuba. It's a weird last name. Clearly not American.
Clearly. Thank you for coming on. For the people, what have we talked about over the last hour or so?
Oh God, we talked a lot about where we were from and growing up, and we just sort of did a dissection on where accents come from and how wonderfully diverse they are and all that. Oh, we didn't get to the joke that we were talking about writing a perfect joke and how sometimes you write that simple little joke, right? I said it's got that word in it I can't say, but right. So thank you, J.A.K, for writing Lord of the Rings, because this joke still works. We're going to set this joke in the medieval fantasy. What do you call a dwarf with a hangover?
Oh, I don't know.
Still a little drunk.
Yeah, for sure.
Or just a little drunk in any capacity. Yeah. I wrote that when I was in high school, and it's still to this day. It's dumb, stupid, but it is one of my favorite jokes that I've ever written. I feel like it's one of the greatest puns I've ever come up with.
Nice.
Single-handedly. Yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about your show, and our comedy careers.
Absolutely, and where things are going. We got into a deep talk. We got into a little bit of. We touched on it. We didn't get into politics. We did for a minute there, for a second. We almost
just a split second.
Yeah, exactly. For a brief second, it was like Republican, Democrat, Communist. Whoa, back to Democrat, Republican.
Yeah, we tend to not shy away from it around here. So
well,
thank you.
That's the Red Note influence. It's like, where did this communism come from? Oh, wow, there were a bunch of people on Red Note for a little bit too long. Like,
yeah, I mean, it has quite a history with the podcast. We've had many discussions.
Indeed.
As the people know.
Always
well,
been
thanks
a pleasure.
again for coming on.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
I really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Peace.
Friends with differences.